Listen closely. Do you hear it? That soft flutter against the window pane at 3 a.m. The moth, drunk on moonlight and madness, hurling itself against the glass barrier that separates it from the lamp inside. Thud, 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 each impact a little prayer, each bruise a love letter written in chitin and dust. Freud called it Thanatos, the death drive, but he was too clinical, too Germanic in his precision. He never watched a man destroy himself for a woman who tastes like absinthe and regret. Never saw how we build altars from our own bones, just to kneel before someone who will never notice the sacrifice. There's an old Romanian folktale about a shepherd who fell in love with the moon. Every night, he'd climb higher into the mountains, convinced that if he could just reach the peak, he could touch her silver face. The villagers found him frozen at dawn, arms stretched upward, fingers blue as forget-me-nots, a smile carved into his lips like a secret he'd take to the grave. They say on winter nights, you can still see his shadow climbing, never learning that some lights are meant to be admired from afar. But here's the grotesque truth wrapped in velvet. We don't want what loves us back. We want what mirrors our own self-destruction. The heart is a masochist dressed in a tuxedo, waltzing with razors, calling it romance. Picture this. A man sits in a bar in Prague, 2024, swiping through dating apps with the mechanical precision of a factory worker. Each face blurs into the next. Available, interested, kind. He matches with a teacher who loves hiking. She messages first. He doesn't respond. Instead, he searches for his ex's Instagram. The one who left him for her dealer. The one whose kisses tasted like cigarettes and broken promises. His thumb hovers over her story. She's in Ibiza now, laughing in someone else's arms. He screenshots it, later alone in his apartment that smells of instant noodles and defeat. He'll stare at that image until his eyes burn. A 2023 study from the University of Ghent found that individuals with anxious attachment styles showed increased dopamine response to rejecting partners, literally getting high on heartbreak. The researchers called it frustration attraction. The poets call it the oldest song in the world. You see, lust isn't about possession. It's about annihilation. We don't chase lovers. We chase executioners wearing lipstick and cologne. Every text left unread is a small death. Every "I'm not ready for something serious" is a nail in the coffin we're building with our own hands. And we love it. God help us, we love it. Schopenhauer knew this. He wrote that desire is suffering, and the only escape is the extinction of the will. But what he didn't say, what he couldn't say from his comfortable study, is that extinction feels like ecstasy when it comes wrapped in silk sheets and whispered promises. There's a plant in the Amazon called the Psychotria elata, the hooker's lips plant. Its flowers are blood red, swollen, obscene in their beauty. They evolved to look like this to attract hummingbirds. But here's the sick joke. The birds often die trying to reach the nectar, exhausting themselves in the attempt. Nature's own death drive, painted in crimson. Tell me, and be honest now, in this dark hour between sleep and sorrow, when was the last time you chose happiness over intensity? When did you text back the one who answered quickly instead of waiting for the one who might never reply? The candle on my desk flickers as I write this, wax pooling like small lakes of grief. I think of all the men reading this in their dimly lit apartments, bourbon warming their throats, scrolling through conversations that ended months ago, looking for signs they missed, reasons to blame themselves one more time. We are all moths, you see, and the cruel, cosmic joke is that we're not trying to reach the light. We're trying to merge with it, to dissolve into something larger than our small, frightened selves. The lust isn't for the body, it's for the burning. The death drive isn't about ending. It's about transformation through destruction. But the moon doesn't care about shepherds. The flame doesn't mourn the moth. And that woman whose laugh sounds like broken glass, she's already forgotten your name. Yet tomorrow night, you'll climb the mountain again. You'll flutter against the window. You'll swipe right on chaos and left on kindness, because somewhere in the reptilian basement of your brain, you've confused intensity with meaning and suffering with depth. The moth doesn't know why it flies toward the flame. It only knows the pull, ancient and absolute. And perhaps that's mercy, to burn with purpose rather than fade in safety. Do you smell the candle smoke yet? Or is that just your wings beginning to singe? The softest prison is the one you furnish yourself. Shh. Do you hear that? That's the sound of a man dying in his sleep at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday. Netflix asking, "Are you still watching?" while his soul quietly flatlines. He's not dead, not technically. His heart still pumps. His lungs still breathe. But something essential has gone missing. Like a violin with its strings cut, making all the right motions but producing only silence. I once knew a banker in London who collected vintage pornography, not for arousal, but for what he called the archaeology of desire. He'd show me daguerreotypes from the 1850s as these ghost women frozen in staged ecstasy and say, "Look at their eyes." Even then, even in the beginning, you can see it. The boredom, the terrible, terminal boredom of getting exactly what you think you want. Here's a truth so sharp it could slit your wrists. The death drive doesn't always look like destruction. Sometimes it looks like a California king bed with fountain 200 thread count sheets. Sometimes it looks like a stable relationship with someone who laughs at your jokes and remembers your coffee order. Sometimes it looks like everything you thought you wanted, wrapped up in a bow made of your own surrendered dreams. The ancient Greeks had a word, ekrasia, the state of acting against one's better judgment. But they were wrong about one thing. It's not against our better judgment. It's against our better nature. We know exactly what we're doing when we choose comfort over vitality. We're choosing a beautiful death. Picture a man in his perfectly climate-controlled apartment. Smart home, smart TV, smart refrigerator. Everything's smart, except the choices. He's got subscriptions to services he doesn't use, medications for conditions caused by his lifestyle, a woman who stopped surprising him 3 years ago, but still makes adequate small talk at dinner parties. His days bleed into each other like watercolors in rain. A 2024 study from the Karolinska Institute found that men in long-term stable relationships showed decreased testosterone levels not from age, but from what researchers delicately called environmental predictability. Your body literally begins shutting down production when it senses no challenge, no chase, no chance of death or glory. You become chemically castrated by contentment. But here's where it gets delicious in its perversity. We defend our cages. We polish the bars. We attack anyone who suggests there might be something beyond the velvet walls. There's a Japanese legend about a demon called the Baku, a dream eater. Parents would tell children to call upon it to devour their nightmares. But the old versions of the story, the ones they don't tell anymore, warned that if the Baku was still hungry after eating your nightmares, it would eat your hopes too. And a life without nightmares or hopes, that's not sleep. That's death with your eyes open. I think of Kierkegaard in his study in Copenhagen, writing about the sickness unto death, not physical death, but spiritual death. The death that comes from choosing security over authenticity. He never married Regina Olsen, his great love, because he couldn't bear to domesticate his despair. Better to burn, he thought, than to slowly suffocate in matrimonial comfort. The modern man doesn't even get that choice. He's born into comfort, raised in comfort, teaches his children to seek comfort above all else. He medicates his discomfort, therapizes his wildness, optimizes his life until there's nothing left to optimize except his own irrelevance. When did you last feel truly alive? Not happy. Happiness is for house cats and lobotomy patients. Alive, electric, dangerous to yourself and others. When did you last do something that made your hands shake? There's a species of octopus that, after mating, literally begins to disintegrate. The males enter what marine biologists call senescence. They stop eating. Their skin lesions appear. They swim in listless circles until they die. But here's the thing, they only mate once. One moment of profound purpose, then dissolution. Now look at yourself. How many times have you mated with comfort? How many times have you chosen the predictable over the possible? Your senescence isn't dramatic. It's a slow fade to beige, a gradual numbing that you call maturity or settling down. The velvet coffin is lined with everything you thought you wanted. Financial security, relationship stability, a routine that never surprises or threatens. You've achieved what your parents wanted for you. You've built a life that looks good on Instagram. You've successfully murdered the wild animal you were born to be. And the sick part? The truly grotesque punchline? You're grateful. You post motivational quotes about gratitude. You practice mindfulness to better appreciate your cage. You've fallen so in love with your chains that you've forgotten they're chains. The death drive isn't always violent. Sometimes it's just a man choosing missionary position for the 1,000th time, ordering the same takeout, having the same conversation, slowly fossilizing into a monument to his own cowardice. But tomorrow, and this is the darkest joke of all, tomorrow you'll wake up and choose it again. Because the velvet coffin is so soft, so warm, and the alternative requires you to admit you've been dying all along. Tell me, what's your favorite brand of anesthesia? And how long have you been prescribed? Every selfie is a small suicide note. Let me tell you about the last honest mirror in Prague. It hangs in the basement of an abandoned nightclub off Wenceslas Square, covered now in dust and the fingerprints of desperate men. Legend says If you look into it at exactly 3:33 a.m., you'll see not who you are, but who you're becoming. Most people run before the transformation completes. But you carry a mirror in your pocket that's far crueler. It shows you not one reflection, but thousands. How many liked your suffering? Who viewed your performance of happiness? Whether your ex watched the story where you pretended not to miss her. Each notification is a small hit of digital heroin. Each scroll, a step deeper into the pool where Narcissus drowned. Here's what they don't tell you about that myth. Narcissus knew it was his reflection. He wasn't stupid. He was in love with the only person who could never leave him, himself. And that love, that self-obsession that feels like self-care, that's the most exquisite form of the death drive. A neuroscientist in Stockholm, studying social media addiction in 2024, made a discovery that her university tried to bury. The same neural pathways that fire during cocaine use light up when we edit our own photos. But here's the sick twist. The high isn't from seeing ourselves beautified. It's from the control. The godlike power to delete reality and upload fantasy. I once watched a man spend 45 minutes perfecting a gym selfie. 45 minutes. The light had to hit just right. The angle had to suggest both humility and dominance. The caption had to seem spontaneous despite being drafted 6 times. Later, I saw him at a bar, refreshing his phone every 30 seconds, his face cycling through micro-expressions of hope and disappointment, like a slot machine made of meat and insecurity. This is what Schopenhauer missed in his pessimism. He thought desire was suffering, but he never imagined we'd invent machines to multiply our desires infinitely. Every image you post creates a shadow self, a digital homunculus that needs constant feeding. And what does it eat? Your authentic experience, your present moment, your ability to exist without documentation. There's a condition called Cotard's syndrome, where patients believe they're already dead, walking corpses in a world of the living. But I submit to you that we've invented a new variant, digital Cotards, where we believe we only exist when we're perceived through screens. Quick, without looking, how many followers do you have? You know, don't you? You know it like your own pulse. The Yoruba people of West Africa have a proverb. However long the moon disappears, someday it must shine again. But what happens when you become addicted to shining? When you can't tolerate your own darkness, your own phases, your own necessary disappearances. A man I knew in Vienna, brilliant programmer, made a fortune in crypto, spent his last days creating an AI version of himself, fed it every photo, every text, every recorded conversation. He wanted to achieve digital immortality. The AI is still active, still posting, still responding to messages. His body has been cremated for 18 months. Tell me, which version was more alive? This is the paradox that makes philosophers weep and therapists rich. The more we curate our image, the more we disappear. Every filter is a tiny erasure. Every posed photo is a small death of spontaneity. We're so busy creating evidence of our lives that we forget to live them. But here's where it gets truly grotesque. We know this. We all know this. There's not a man reading this who hasn't felt the hollow ache after a dopamine binge. Hasn't experienced the post-orgasmic clarity of closing Instagram at 3 a.m., wondering what the fuck he's been doing for the past 2 hours. Yet tomorrow, you'll do it again. Because the alternative, existing without witness, without validation, without the constant mirror of others' attention, feels like a kind of death. And you're right, it is a death. The death of the false self, the death of the performance, the death of the avatar you've been feeding with your life force. In Tibetan Buddhism, they practice sky burial, leaving bodies on mountaintops for vultures to consume. They see it as a final act of generosity, giving your flesh to sustain other life. But we practice a different kind of sky burial. We upload ourselves piece by piece, letting the digital vultures feed on our need for validation until there's nothing left but bones and metadata. The real reason Narcissus couldn't leave the pool? It wasn't love. It was fear. Fear of who he might be without the reflection. Fear of the terrible freedom that comes when you stop watching yourself live. So, he chose to stay, to stare, to starve beside his own image. And in his honor, we've built 1 billion pools, each one fitting in our pocket, each one reflecting back a face we've forgotten how to recognize without a filter. Look up from your screen. See that person in the black mirror? That's who you're becoming. Still running? The moment you say it, you begin to disappear. There's a monastery in the mountains of Tibet where monks take a vow of silence that lasts exactly as long as their first love did. Some never speak again. They communicate in gestures that look like drowning, hands moving through air, thick with everything they cannot say. The youngest monk there, he's been quiet for 43 years. But you, modern man, with your modern mouth, you speak your destruction into existence. 3 words, 8 letters in English, 3 syllables that sound like a key turning in a lock. But which side of the door are you on when it closes? I need you to understand something, and I need you to taste it like copper on your tongue. Love is not death's opposite. Love is death's most faithful servant, dressed in red instead of black, carrying roses instead of a scythe. Consider the praying mantis. During mating, the female often devours the male's head, while his body continues the act of copulation. Scientists call this sexual cannibalism. Poets call it honesty. The male mantis doesn't run. He climbs toward his beloved knowing exactly what awaits. His genes will survive. He will not. And perhaps, in that moment of consumption, he experiences something we can only call ecstasy. A psychologist in Tokyo, studying what she termed romantic dissolution patterns in 2023, found something that made her abandon her research and become a ceramics artist. Men who expressed love most verbally showed the highest rates of identity erosion. Not depression, not anxiety, erosion. Like cliffs worn away by waves, retaining their shape while losing their substance. When you last said, "I love you," did you notice how your voice got smaller? As if something inside knew it was pronouncing its own eulogy? Here's what happens, and I've watched it happen to better men than you or I. The moment those words leave your lips, you begin the most exquisite suicide. Not of the body, but of the self. You start to disappear into the other, cell by cell, thought by thought, until you're not a man anymore, but a function. The boyfriend, the husband, the one who loves. There's an old Czech folk tale about a blacksmith who loved a river spirit. Every night, he'd forge her gifts: silver combs, iron roses, chains so delicate they looked like frozen breath. One night, she asked him, "What do you want in return?" He said, "Only to love you." She wept as she drowned him, whispering, "Then you understand. Love requires a corpse." Nietzsche knew this. Why do you think he went mad? Not from syphilis, despite what the medical reports claim. He went mad from loving too deeply, from saying yes to life so completely that he dissolved into it. His last coherent letter, signed "The Crucified," was a love letter to the universe that ate him alive. But here's the truly sick part, the twist that would make even Freud light another cigar. We want this dissolution. The death drive doesn't push us away from love. It pushes us toward it, knowing that love is the most complete annihilation available to the living. Watch a man in love. Really watch him. See how he starts using we instead of I. Notice how his stories become her stories. His dreams become their dreams. His friends wonder where he went. He's not building a relationship. He's building a pyre, and he's the sacrifice. I knew a sculptor in Barcelona who fell in love with a dancer. Within 6 months, he'd stopped creating, stopped seeing his old friends, stopped being anything but her audience. When she left, and they always leave, don't they? He tried to return to his work, but his hands had forgotten how to shape anything but applause. A 2024 study from the University of Gothenburg examined brain scans of men in the first year of saying, "I love you." They found decreased activity in the areas associated with self-reflection and individual decision-making. The researchers called it neurological pair bonding. I call it volunteering for ego death. Tell me, how much of yourself have you already fed to the furnace? And does she even notice the smoke? There's a species of spider where the male offers himself as a nuptial gift, literally impaling himself on the female's fangs while transferring sperm. Evolutionary biologists say this ensures his genes pass on by providing nutrition for the eggs. But I think he just understands something we pretend not to know, that love and death are the same word in the universe's mother tongue. The French call orgasm la petite mort, the little death. But they're wrong about the scale. Every "I love you" is a grand death, a complete surrender of the fortress you've spent your whole life defending. And the woman you say it to, she might love you back. She might even mean it, but she can't follow you into that particular grave. You see, the suicide of the lover isn't dramatic. It's as quiet as changing your phone's wallpaper to her picture, as subtle as checking with her before making plans, as gentle as forgetting what you used to dream about before her laugh became your lullaby. And one day, maybe years later, maybe tomorrow, you'll wake up and realize you're a ghost haunting someone else's life. You'll see your reflection and wonder who that stranger is wearing your face. You'll understand why the monks choose silence, because every "I love you" is really saying, "I agree to disappear." And the universe, hungry as any lover, accepts your offering with a kiss that tastes like earth. So tell me, brave romantic, how many times have you already died? And for whom are you planning your next funeral? In the end, the only arms that can hold you are your own. Listen. Do you hear it? That's not silence. That's the sound of a man finally stopping his own noise. It took me 43 years and 17 broken hearts to understand that silence isn't empty. It's full. Full of everything you've been too frightened to hear. There's a cave in the Himalayas where hermits go to die, not their bodies, but their need for others. They call it the Cave of Unbinding. Local villagers say if you spend 7 nights there alone, you either emerge enlightened or insane. But here's what the villagers whisper when the tourists leave. There's no difference between the two. Both have simply stopped needing the world to make sense. This final truth tastes like iron and honey. The death drive isn't pushing you toward another's arms. It's pushing you home, to the only lover who will outlast your flesh. Yourself. Your holy, broken, magnificent self. A philosopher in Copenhagen, studying modern isolation in 2024, discovered something that made him burn his tenure and move to a cabin in Norway. Men who reported the deepest satisfaction weren't those with perfect relationships or those with many lovers. They were the ones who had learned to be genuinely alone, not lonely, but alone. The difference, he wrote in his final paper, is the difference between drowning and diving. When did you last sit with yourself without distraction, without music, without screens, without the narcotic of another's presence? What demon were you running from? Here's what Schopenhauer understood that Instagram philosophers never will. Hell isn't other people. Hell is needing other people. Hell is that gnawing hunger for validation, for touch, for someone else to confirm you exist. The death drive isn't about seeking destruction. It's about seeking freedom from the terrible burden of needing. I think of Diogenes in his barrel, masturbating in the marketplace. When asked why, he said, "If only I could rub my belly and make hunger disappear too." Crude? Yes, but also the most honest thing any philosopher has ever said about desire. There's a man I know in Prague, used to be a surgeon, hands that could repair hearts. After his 3rd divorce, he sold everything and bought a small cabin in the Shumava forest. No internet, no phone, just books and the sound of his own breathing. I visited him last winter. He was chopping wood, and I swear to God, I've never seen a man more alive. He looked at me with eyes that had seen through the world's last lie and said, "I spent 40 years suturing other people's hearts. Never realized mine was bleeding out through my fingers." A 2025 study from McGill University, just published, still causing controversy, found that men who spent extended periods in intentional solitude showed increased gray matter in areas associated with self-awareness and emotional regulation. But here's what the study didn't say, what the researchers only discussed in hushed tones over coffee. These men also showed decreased activity in the areas associated with social bonding. They were literally rewiring themselves for independence. But solitude isn't misanthropy. It's not hiding. It's the most radical act of self-love available. It's saying to the universe, "I am complete." Not perfect, complete. There's a difference vast as oceans. The Sufi mystics have a saying, "The beloved is already in the house." They spend decades in meditation trying to understand this. But you, reading this at 2 a.m., wrapped in the blue light of your loneliness, you already know. You've always known, every time you've reached for another person to fill that void, you've known you were lying to yourself. Here's my question, and I want you to feel it in your bones. What if you're not broken? What if the emptiness you're trying to fill is actually your freedom? The death drive leads us home, but home isn't where we thought. It's not in her arms, or in their approval, or in the next achievement. Home is the moment you stop performing your life and start living it. Home is 3 a.m. with no one to text. Home is Sunday morning with no plans. Home is the terrible, beautiful realization that you are enough, have always been enough, will always be enough. There's a species of tree in California, the Pinus longeva, the Great Basin bristlecone pine. Some are over 5,000 years old. They grow in impossible places, twisted by wind, scarred by lightning, more dead wood than living. But they endure. They endure because they need so little. They endure because they've made peace with their aloneness. This is the final paradox, the last joke the universe plays. The only way to truly live is to accept your fundamental aloneness, not to overcome it, not to fill it, but to crown it, to make your solitude into a throne instead of a prison. And when you do, if you ever do, something miraculous happens. The death drive quiets, not because you've conquered it, but because you've understood its message. It was never trying to kill you. It was trying to free you. Free you from the endless seeking, the perpetual hunger, the exhausting performance of needing to be needed. In the end, we all die alone. But the Hermit King knows a secret. If you practice being alone while you're alive, death loses its sting. It becomes just another room in a house you've already explored. So here's my invitation, my dark gift wrapped in starlight. Stop running, stop scrolling, stop seeking. Stop, sit with yourself in the darkness until your eyes adjust. You'll find something there, waiting in the shadows, not a monster, but a crown. Your crown. Wear it well. The only question left, will you keep fleeing into others' arms? Or will you finally turn around and embrace the beautiful stranger you've been all along?